Hello and welcome to my demonstration video for Schematic MetaBlocks. In this video I'd like to show you how my mod works and how it works together with Lunatrius's Schematica in order to allow you to create schematics that can be reused within a mod. So I've got four mods loaded for this particular demonstration. There's the Schematic MetaBlocks, there's Lunatrius's Schematica, Lunatrius Core, and I've got a very early alpha version of Steam and Steel, which I'll be actually creating ruins schematics for to load into the game. So this is a ruin that Rorax has put together for me, and first of all I'd like to actually highlight the actual issues that we have with this particular schematic. Like if you go and save a schematic like this, so for anyone that hasn't ever done schematics with Schematica, I'll give you a quick little walkthrough. What you do is you press the star key by default, and you define a red point and a blue point. And if I turn this little option in here, you can actually see where your 2 points are going to be. So I want my red point to be here, so that's going to be in line with this block, and it's also at the bottom of this schematic. I'm then going to head over here and I'll set the blue point, and now I'm just going to align the blue point so that it will be along these axes here, and that looks about right. Alright, so we'll save this one as bunker small. Okay. So now that we've actually got that schematic, let's go over here and we'll spawn in a rather large schematic that I've put together. So we'll use Schematic MetaBlocks, load schematic, and I've got one called Chunko World. Now this may take a couple of... Oh, no, it's actually quite quick to render. That's quite good. Okay. So we've brought in a chunk of world from another world. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to load the schematic in here, at this particular point in here, and we'll see how it interacts with this mountain over here. So we'll go Schematic MetaBlocks, load schematic, bunker small. Okay, and straight off the bat, you can tell that the schematic hasn't really loaded that well. Like it hasn't actually, in this particular case, it hasn't replaced any of the insides of the thing with air, so all you get is the blocks replacing the mountain. I have a slightly altered version of that command inside of Steam and Steel. Let me show you what that particular one does. So if I go Steam and Steel, load schematic from resource. So this one has a slightly different problem. Oops, I misaligned that slightly, but this one does replace the air, and you can see it's completely carved out of the mountain, and it doesn't actually fit into the world at all. It kind of looks very out of place. So that's what Schematic MetaBlocks actually tries to solve. So let's head back over here, and I will show you the two blocks that you use with Schematic MetaBlocks in order to actually attempt to create schematics that actually provide more use. So Schematic MetaBlocks provides these two blocks here, the interior air marker and the explicit air. Okay, the idea is that you define a region whereby you say, alright, this is going to be the insides, and you do that with the interior air marker. This works inside of a chunk, so if I use not enough items, which is also installed, you can see the chunk boundaries in here. So I want to mark, we've got 4 chunks involved in this particular schematic, and I want to mark all of them as having this interior air part here as having air. So what happens is when you place down an interior air marker, it basically filters out from that area over here all the way up along the chunk boundaries until it can't expand anymore. And it fills it with these little inverted red blocks that you can walk through that basically say, okay, this is the inside of a ruin or a building or whatever it is that you're creating. Now these blue blocks here, the explicit air, act as barriers that you can walk through. They explicitly mark the interior part of a schematic. So you do have to be very careful though that either one, you don't have holes in your roof. It will fill the entire chunk with air. And the other thing to look out for is if you have small areas that you weren't expecting. I'll see if I can't create one. If I put these two down here, and I put the interior air marker here, you can see this area here is filled, but these two blocks in here are not. Because of the chunk boundary here, it wasn't able to actually fill air upwards out here. Putting down another marker in here will solve the problem. Oops. And I've just gone and punctured a hole in my roof, which causes the exact problem that I mentioned earlier. Unfortunately, this will take a few minutes to actually reset itself, so while it's doing that, let's see about setting up our schematic boundaries. Oops, there we go. So that's correcting itself. That does take a little while sometimes, but it's usually pretty okay. So let's see about... haven't ever seen it do that before. Alright, so we'll set the red point here. We'll set the blue point up here. Ah, there you go. It's not enough items doing that then. Okay. Alright, and I'll give it a couple more blocks on the x-axis. Alright, that looks about right, and we've got our interior correctly captured. So at this point here, let's save a new schematic. Let's call this one Better Ruin. So we'll save that. Okay, we'll fly over here. Alright, and I think, yep, I think we'll have enough room over here. So let's now, I'm not sure if this one is actually going to work at the moment. This might need fixing. Better Ruin. Okay, this actually did work as I hoped that it would. So you can see now how the area inside of this has all been very nicely filled out. And for anyone that was paying attention, you may have noticed that I didn't have the walls like very squarely marked. I had it set up so that like parts of the mountain would be able to sort of come in over the top of the schematic. So that is what I was hoping to achieve with this particular mod, is being able to basically say, okay, so all of the area of this schematic on the outside here can be replaced with terrain. So this over here is why the mountain was able to actually fill into that area. And it would have been able to go over and above. If I'd spawned this right in the middle of the mountain, it would have came up and over. So that's a quick demonstration of schematic multi-blocks. Probably not really too useful in a normal multiplayer world unless you're actually having like a massive building session or something. But I hope that it will provide a useful mechanism for actually loading schematics. The actual schematic loading code is available on my GitHub project together with this mod as well, and everyone is welcome to use it and modify it as see fit. Alright, thank you very much. Have a good night.